Everybody, I'm Steve Scott, and welcome to another episode of Judo Analysis. And in today's show, I want to analyze what I call the tight waist. Other people call it the tight waist too, but that's exactly what it is. You're controlling your opponent's hips and waist area. Think of it this way. My old coach, Rene Pomerel, said everything is a handle. That's absolutely true. The body is made up of control points, head, shoulders, arms, legs, feet, everything. Certainly one of the most important control points are the hips. And how you control your opponent's hips often dictates how you control his movement and how you limit his movement as well. And this is what we're going to do here in the tight waist type of thing. And I think this is an area that people tend to ignore a bit in controlling the hip area, controlling the hips in general. Again, to quote another great friend of mine, Harry Parker, everything leads with the hips. We lead with our hips and we control with our hips, and that's a major point of control. And I think that we should spend some time looking at this concept of what I call a tight waist. Okay, I picked that up from wrestling years ago, but it really is a good concept. So let's kind of look at that, and then look at how we can actually use this idea of controlling someone's waist to manipulate, not just for throwing techniques, but certainly in newaza and ground fighting techniques as well. So bear with me a few moments. I do want to explain it. First of all, what you're going to see in these videos right off the bat, the very first video, we're going to show how to set up and use a tight waist control in an offensive manner. And we do that with what we call an omelet grip, an omelet setup. It's basically a 2-on-1 grip, or it's a cross grip on the sleeve or arm, and you swim your hand through and grab tightly around your opponent's waist. And we're going to show that right off the bat because that really helps set the tight waist up very, very well. There are other ways to get the tight waist. You'll see them as the other videos show as well, but this is a very good primary way of controlling an opponent and getting control of his hips right off the bat from a kind of a neutral gripping situation standing. It could be the same as in grappling as well, but we show it a lot in standing. So you'll see that as it develops from what we call an omelet grip. It's not the only way to get the tight waist, but it certainly is a very good one, and I would highly recommend it. So we're looking at that. It's like I said, the tight waist is useful in both stand-up throwing as well as ground fighting. And in standing throwing, people think when they think about a tight waist, you're grabbing around the waist and controlling an opponent's hips like in ogoshi. Well, we're going to show ogoshi in this show as well, but that is one variation. That's one way of tight waisting an opponent. It's the basic way of doing it. But it's just one of several ways of doing it, and we're going to show that as the time goes on. In standing techniques, the tight waist grip lends very, very well to sutemi-waza or sacrifice or body weight type throws, and we're going to show that a lot in this show. How you can use a tight waist very effectively for a sutemi-waza, and a number of them you'll be seeing here. But also remember, you can use it for other throws as well, because you are grabbing tightly around the opponent's waist and controlling it. You can use certainly a lot of other techniques, leg techniques, certainly hip techniques, hip throws. Any number of throwing techniques can be used with a tight waist. So, but it is very effective in sutemi-waza, and that's what we're going to focus on in this show today, primarily. Also, getting back to what I mentioned earlier, you can use it in ground fighting. Tight waist is very, very, very effective in ground fighting, and we're going to show at the very end of the video here, the show here, just a couple of ways you can use a tight waist to control your opponent, to break him down from a neutral position in newaza, kneeling situation. So you'll be seeing that. But I want to just explore this concept of tight waist. That's why it's called Judo Analysis. We are analyzing this concept of controlling an opponent's body, at this point controlling his body at his hips. And again, remember that everything is a handle, like Rene Pomerel said. And this is one of the many handles you can use, but it is a primary handle. If you can control the center of your opponent's body, his hips, you are controlling his movement, and that's what we want to do. The better I control his movement, the better for me. So anyway, let's take a long look here at quite a few videos on cue here, but with the tight waist. But we're going to be starting right off and showing how to set it up to get into, from what we call an omelet grip, a 2-on-1, arm grip, to catch the tight waist, and then we'll be playing it out from there. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you experiment a lot with using the tight waist. It is really, really effective. So here we go. We're going to take a look at what we call an omelet grip and a tight waist. And it's a way of controlling your opponent's arms and certainly his hips in any throwing technique. So we're out here in grip, so it's like we're gripping. What I'm going to do is when I catch it, and you can slap it, whatever, you can catch it in this, but I want to catch my left hand on his left hand low. I want to catch fairly low down here. Now if I was in a no-gi situation, I could grab his wrist easily, okay? But he's got a nice jacket, let's use it. So I'm catching here, there it is. Now a lot of times, if he knows what he's doing, and he does, he will pull his arm back, and that's the smart thing to do. Well, this works on smart guys, because as he starts to pull back, that lets me have a hole there to swim my right arm through, okay? And when he does that, boom, I catch it, I slide through. Now, you can watch Eric, so he's going to catch low here. Now, he slides that, fishes in there. Now, comes in, turn all the way around so you can see how he tight. Don't grab the belt tight yet. You want to hook that far hip. This is called a tight waist, okay? And you can throw this guy a taniotoshi or a nagi. A lot of things can happen from here by tight waisting. But you see how he's tied up his whole arm. He's trapped his, in this case, left arm, and he's got his arm around the waist. Let's look at that again. See how that tight waist is? Okay, do that again, guys, from the backside. See, swing in, there's the tight waist.
If we're in a normal stance here, I'm going to catch a cross grip on his sleeve. And then as he tries to tug the sleeve back, that's going to give me the opening to slip right in between his ribs and his elbow and get around and tight waist him.
So you want to get that tight waist around his waist. Don't grab his belt. You tend to have a floating elbow. Hook the whole elbow or hook the whole hip. Okay. Now that's the kind of the omelet movement. But the setup here is when you're grip fighting, you've got to, there's your anchor. Your left hand is your anchor hand to set him up, because a lot of times they'll pull it away, and a good guy isn't just going to flop it away. He's going to keep it elbow in tight, pull it in, and there. See, that's how you set him up. Now there's your setup. Now it's just a matter of what do I want to do with this guy from here. I mean, you could toss with a ogoshi, you could do all kinds of throws, but we're going to do a fun throw. And we're going to roll under him, and it's almost like a Yoko Garuma or something. We're going to see what it is here. So we're going to dip under and throw him. So go ahead and toss them, and there we have it. Now that looks like a spectacular fake type throw, but it's not, because it's a very safe attack. It's a good rolling under them and catch them. Okay. Now, as one thing Don Hinchcliffe pointed out, it keeps him from posting his hand to stop the throw. Right. So that's why you want to go ahead, tie him up again, Derek, if you could, and see that left hand right there. Now watch, he filters it over, and there's the hook. Now. So that keeps Eric Weaver from stopping with his left hand to stop the throw. Now when Derek swings his left leg through the middle, through that hole, and you roll right over on top of him. So you're really filling all kinds of gaps with your body to defeat him. In the first sense, you're grabbing and you're controlling, and see there's a big gap, he controls it, he fills it up. Now the second one, watch as his head dips low, his left leg is going to go through the legs, whip him over, and throw him. Okay. So he's beating me at the grip. This is a good counter throw. Okay. Okay. Immediately tight waist. This is one of many options I could have from a tight waist situation. But as soon as you get behind him, shoot low, squat very low. Your hips. See how? And you might even jam the knee in there. That helps a lot. Some guys even will lift the knee as they throw. So that's totally up to you. But at this point, scoop here, drive them in. Okay? Can I have you? You like this throw, so I'm going to let you demo here. I'm going to get out of the way. Now look how his reaction is tight waist, and that helps close the space. See how as soon as he tight waist, top hand, right hand, boom, left hand goes. It's like automatic. All right? And that into the fight, okay? That happens in a parking lot, a convenience store, hire a lawyer.
Bar.
But in judo, because, you know, IJF, I don't think it wouldn't be legal at all, IJF, but AAU and freestyle, Sambo, we see this stuff a lot, okay? Everybody get it? Yeah. Remember, some key things to work off here, guys. Think about one thing leads to another, okay? When I tight waist him, when he beats me at the grip, don't actually throw him, but do some stuff here, guys. Bam, he's beating him here at the grip, okay? Now, Derek, he wants to close the gap. By doing so, he tight waists, cinches in, he's doing it really good here, and he gets really low. Lower your levels with your legs. Don't bend over at the waist, okay? Now, yeah, so that is he squats low. Now with this other one, as soon as he tight waists there, see, he's kind of like, he squeezes him. He's here and here. And when he lifts, he could pick up, like, what, carry through the threshold? Not you, buddy. But now we're going to do something, and I actually picked this up off John Saylor many years ago, and it's a sweet move. And tight waist him there, and let's look at everything. When he's doing this, turn around, guys. Can you see his head right on the chest? That's essential. He's completely dominating and controlling this shoulder. His head is going to be used to really push, you know, as a kind of a third arm, okay, as Renee Palmer, the third arm. Okay, you drive there, but see how he's tied him up. So everything's tied up here. Now, you notice how he's come in with his hips. And when he does this, he's going to keep proceeding through, and he's going to do a thigh sweep or a lifting type thigh throw, like that. Why don't you come to the side and so you can do the full thing? So he does the omelet grip, catches it, now watch the thigh sweep. Bam, there you go. Now, the heavier weight guys, let me do this a bit here. The heavier weight guys, you won't be able to lift and turn as much as the middleweights because we're just built different a little bit. And I notice when you're doing this, you're coming in through as a heavyweight, tying up here, you're coming in here and you're just chopping more, and you're driving in this direction. Try that. A little bit of the lightweight's fine like this too, but I know that as a heavyweight, bigger boy, we always did this. That is the one we found. That's the way this John taught me many years ago, and worked quite well for it. He's a Sambo guy. He's a real Sambo guy, so he likes that thigh sweep. He likes to lift a little bit. That's cool too. But that's the original way. We just called it the omelet because you fill them as flat as an omelet. And that's why we call it that. And that's really a tie-up, you know, grip tie-up of the tight waist and a thigh sweep. What do you call it? Kosoto Gari, Kosoto Tanio Toshi. Whatever you call it Ippon, right? Yeah. Okay, one more time and then we'll. So to show the heavier way, the way it's like that, that's the basic, okay? Then the one that Mr. Sambo likes, which really works, okay? He comes in and he's getting more of this big sweep, see that? And you get a big amplitude throw. Either one, they're good. You definitely see we're using the crash pad on this, aren't we? I want a tight waist, and I'm going to come in, I'm going to drop and catch it from a tight waist and like this. And when I come in, it's kind of almost a sloppy knee drop, but I'm going to toss them like that. So that's what it's going to look like. Instead of grabbing for the legs, I'm pulling around his waist. That's all. So he beats him at the grip. Now he tight waist here. He's got to have that. He can grab the belt and grab the tight. I like to grab the hip. Okay. And when he does that, he ducks under the head. And he slides under. See that? And now he's going to take in that direction. See how he does this? Watch what Don does with his right hand. He's going to grab around the waist. So he grabs tightly around the waist. And I call it tight waisting because that's what you're doing, grabbing tight around the waist. And he traps it. He's grabbing right about the hip here. You can grab the belt. But I think by grabbing the hip, the bone here at the hip, you've got a lot more control. And what he's going to do, he's going to load Mike up onto his hip. And he's going to turn around, I'll do that anyway, and he's just going to throw him right over his hip. You see? This is why I call this thing tight waist. It's grabbing tight around the waist. So as I turn it here. So when I'm doing the breakdown where I'm basically doing ogoshi off the knees, okay? When I do this, pop him up, he might have like got a high grip on me here and I'm in trouble. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to control his waist, his hips. And if I have those, I probably got him. Okay, so grab tight around the waist here. See this? And then sink in and just roll right over. And when you do that, you land right on him, come right on top, finish with a Monogatami. Grappling in a neutral position, okay? And he kind of gets the edge on me, and he beats me here, okay? Oh, rats, you know. Some things you can do. There are options you have here, okay? But let's look at one of them that we've been working on here. It's kind of an ogoshi off the mat. Here's a good example where I'm going to counter. So if I've got him, and you can see how he's dominating me here. Anybody even knock me down, you know, but I've got this opening here, quick tight waisted here, okay? Now I have some options what I can do. So let's look at the most basic. He's tight waisted here, and now I can't throw in that direction because I'm really off balance. So I'm going to go in this direction. I'm going to go over here, okay? So I'm basically doing a goshi across his body. So lock in here, grab the elbow, okay, and I'm just going to kind of quickly scoot across him this way as quickly as I can. I'm not going to get very far, I realize that. That's why I've got to tight waist him. If I don't have a good grip with my hand around his hip, it's not going to work, okay? So I've got to have it tight right here, like this, and it's rolled right over, wham, and on top of the guy. And I mean, we're feeling ribs on ribs here, and I'm really crushing on me here. Boom, I'm stuck. Oh, I'm in trouble here. But get your hand around the waist, tight waist him. See, like we did before, come turn it. See, tight waist him here, like this, okay? Come on back. He's dominating, tight waist here. Now watch, with this hand, I'm going to scoop here. I'm just going to block. And when I do that, I'm going to drive my body in that direction. Block, wham, come across. That's a good move too. If you can't get your hand on his wrist or sleeve or elbow to pull him. So, he's dominated me, boom. Tight waist, he's pulled that away, let's say. Oh, take him down.